I'm wearing a sweater today. Sorry to all of those who wanted to see the gains, but it's very cold and I just don't feel it. But for a lot of you, New Year's is the time of the year to get huge, to get shredded, to lose weight, to get stronger, whatever your goals are physically. This is the time that you all want to do it. And it's not too late to add this to your routine to see amazing results by the end of the year. In fact, it's the perfect time. So because of that, this is why I'm making the video today. But in today's video, we are talking specifically about the deadlift. And the deadlift is one of my favorite exercises. It is the favorite exercise of probably most powerlifters and most people, because it's that exercise where we can put a staggering amount of weight on the bar in contrast with the rest of our lifts. I have a 455 pound deadlift. My bench is, I think, less than half of that. In fact, it is, no, it's just a little more than half, 260. So I had to think about that because I hadn't done a 1 rep max bench in quite some time. But anyway, today's video, we're going to be talking about the deadlift. I'm going to show you how to do it. And again, this is one of the most important exercises for anybody to do. It's very easy to get wrong, and it's very easy to get hurt on if you do it wrong. But if you do it correctly, it is probably one of the safest exercises to do. I do not find it difficult to perform. I in the past have had issues with my form on the deadlift, but we will get into that in a minute. Now the thing about the deadlift is this. It is basically a back exercise. If you want to get a little bit more technical, the deadlift is, well, quite frankly, the best movement for the posterior chain. So your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back, and your lats. Now, that's not to say that that's all that it works. On the contrary, you're going to, because you have your arms completely straight and locked out, you're going to be having a weighted stretch in the biceps. That's going to put a little bit more tension on the biceps, a bit more workload. Again, you are picking up a heavy weight. Your abdominals will be working overtime because you are using hip drive, and you are going to be locking out your knees from a bent position. Your quadriceps are going to be involved. Your calves are involved to some extent too. So this is a great overall builder of muscle. And this is a multi-joint compound movement. And like I said, if you're not using the deadlift, you need to put it in your exercise routine, because it is going to put a lot more strength on you, a lot more size. So let's go to the gym and I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so before I start talking about the chalk and the rest of the deadlift, one thing I want to get out of the way. Yes, the video is significantly different and it's a lot lower quality. Basically, I like to record in the gym on my phone. It makes it less of a scene. People stop staring. Because I have such a great camera, it's really big, sadly. So when I bring it into the gym, people are kind of like, they're a little apprehensive. They kind of like stare. It's like, what's going on here? The gym owner doesn't mind, believe it or not. It's just when I have people kind of around me like, oh, what's this guy doing? Yeah, it just kind of detracts from my ability to make the videos. So what you're seeing right here is me putting chalk on my hands. And chalk is one of the most important pieces of equipment that you can use in the gym for the sake of safety. If you've ever seen somebody like rip the skin on their hands while they're doing a deadlift in like powerlifting videos or, you know, strongman, it's usually because either they don't have chalk or they don't have enough chalk, or yeah, that's usually why. And even if you do have chalk on, it can still happen, but it significantly reduces the rate of you tearing the skin on your palms. Another big thing is that it increases grip strength in some regard. And when I say that, it doesn't actually change your grip strength, but it reduces the roll when it kind of like rolls in your hand a little bit. And it's not, you won't notice it so much when you are using a lighter weight, but for me, once I go past 385 pounds, that's when I notice that my grip starts to go out before any of the other muscles give out in my body. And because of the fact that my grip is the weakest link, I put the chalk in my hands and it makes everything a lot smoother. And one more point about chalk before we continue. You can usually get, it's either called like gymnast chalk or weightlifting chalk. You can get it for like $1.85 at any like sporting goods store. You just have to look, and it is just literally chalk. Like, it's nothing special, so don't go around buying $15 buckets of it if you ever see it. And I keep it in a Tupperware container, and that's just to make sure that it doesn't fly all over the place in my backpack. Now, this is basically how you want to approach the bar. Now, I'm going to be coaching the conventional version. I'll show you sumo in a minute, but this is usually how I coach all of my clients on the conventional version of the deadlift. And the reason that I do that is because sumo is really an advanced technique for people who want to put the most weight on the bar using a form that is mechanically advantageous. In my opinion, you will get stronger in training on a conventional deadlift. Now, that's not to say you can't train sumo and get amazing results. It's really, the difference is pretty much negligible, but I don't train people for making powerlifting maxes. I train people to get stronger, period, to get more aesthetic, period. And this is how I usually do it. Now, if your goals are different, by all means, I'm going to show you how to do the sumo. But this is how you approach the bar for a conventional deadlift. Basically, your feet are at shoulder width here, and you can see the bar is over the middle of my foot. And the reason that it's over the middle and not necessarily closer towards my shin, you'll see in a minute. When I guess, squat down, you're going to see the bar actually touch my shin. And that's because I am in a different position standing up than I am squatting down. Also, feet are shoulder width, and the toes are pointed very slightly outward. And that's how you want to approach the bar every single time. Also, not depicted here, you will see I have something called an overhand-underhand grip, a mixed grip. We'll see that in another video. But basically, in a mixed grip, one hand is pronated, the other hand is supinated. And what that does is it prevents the bar from rolling even further. And notice that my hands are just outside of where my legs are at the starting position. And the reason for this is because you're going to notice in this video, both of my arms are completely locked out. They're completely straight. I'm not bending them. I'm not using any of my arms whatsoever to leverage the weight. You do not want to do that. You do not want to bend your arms, especially when it comes to the point where you have a lot of weight in your hands. If you do that, you will risk injuring your biceps and tearing them. Now let's actually talk about the movement a little bit here. So I'm set up properly here. I grip the bar, mixed grip, one hand pronated, one hand supinated. I'm down, and then I pull. I push through my heels. Before I pull, I make sure that my chest is up, my chin is tucked as much as it can be. I'm not looking up with my head. I'm not looking to the side. My chin is tucked, and my cervical spine, or my neck bone, I guess, is neutral. And a couple of these, I'm a little high on them with my hips, but basically my hips are really low, and I'm starting the movement with my legs, driving with my heels upward. And I'm locking out with my lower back, with my glutes. I'm using the hip drive, and it's pretty much being generated with the posterior chain. Again, hamstrings, glutes, and lower back. I'm also, you won't really feel this until you actually get the bar in your hands and lock it out, but I'm using my traps to stabilize it at the top, if that makes any sense, only for a split second. This is the conventional deadlift. Now, we're going to take a look from the side. Now, this is me approaching the bar. I am directly above it. My foot is over the middle of the bar. I'm about to grip it, one hand over, and one hand under. Let's see it. One hand over, one hand under. Now, I'm looking a little too far up. I should have my chin tucked. But I'm pulling, and the bar is moving straight up. And it's riding my shins the entire way up in the movement. And when I lock out with my hips.
I'm hyperextending a little bit actually in this video, but it's only because the weight is actually so light that I'm trying to simulate what it would be like if I had a really heavy load. I didn't do that today because I had already squatted and benched that day and I was not feeling heavy deadlifts. So, one more time, approach the bar, sink your hips. Come on, Scott, sink your hip. There you go. There you go. Grip the bar slightly outside of your legs. Mixed grip. Make a triangle with your body, your eyes, and the floor. Tuck your chin and pull. Now again, my hips are really high here, but the general gist of it, there you go, hips are lower. You want to sink your hips a little bit lower and pull with a neutral spine. You don't want to round your back. You don't want to have your back too much inflection either. And that is the deadlift. Now here I'm going to show you guys how to do the sumo deadlift. Now again, I don't recommend you do this unless you are going for either a powerlifting max or some other sort of competitive max where you need to have a certain mechanical leverage to make you better at the movement. I'm always going to recommend the conventional deadlift to anybody that I train unless there's another reason not to. Now this is kind of a two-in-one. This is kind of like the miscellany part of the video. I've got a different grip from mixed in this video. I'm doing sumo, and I want to talk about some other things. So, first thing you're going to notice is that the grip here is a little bit different, and this is only because I'm showing you. It doesn't matter what grip you do on a sumo or a conventional. This is just me doing a different grip. Now this grip, you're going to notice, is that it's called the hook grip, and basically my thumb is on the other side, it's in the front of the bar, and my fingers go over the thumb, while the bar is actually in my palm, and it is actually within the grip of my thumb, but my fingers are over the thumb too. And the reason for this is to make your grip more stable, while at the same time maintaining symmetrical movement in your body. And some people do this because they're afraid that that a mixed grip is going to cause them to have muscular imbalances. I really have not noticed any muscular imbalances in my body, but you are more than welcome to go ahead and do the hook grip if you feel like you're going to have muscular imbalances. I don't really notice any. I have somewhat sort of lopsided abdominals. When I get really shredded, you notice it, but that is a genetic thing more than anything, and I don't think you should worry about that too much. But anyway, you're going to notice here when I'm doing the sumo deadlift, my hands are actually on the inside of my legs. The reason for that is because my legs are really wide. I'm adopting a very wide stance to the point that they are closer to the plates than they are to the middle. And I am still gripping the knurling on the bar, which is the roughage, I guess, on the surface of the bar. You'll notice that on the inside it kind of tapers off into smoothness. That's what it's called, the knurling, the rough part. And that's where my hands are. And the reason for that is, again, due to grip issues. You don't want to be gripping something smooth, especially when it's 400 pounds. Smoothness contributes to rolling, and rolling contributes to you losing control of the bar and dropping it. You don't want to do that. And again, when it comes to the hip drive, the movement, it's all really the same. I still push through my heels. I still use my leg drive to get it up and my hip drive to lock it out. And I'm stabilizing it at the top with my back and with my abdominals. And guys, one more thing about the deadlift that I want to talk about before I get into how to do it wrong is you're going to notice that I have shoes with flat feet. And the reason that I have these on is because you don't necessarily want to have running shoes on when you're doing a deadlift, and the reason is because the closer your feet are to the floor, the better of a leverage you're going to have. And if your feet are actually at an angle or any sort of if they have any sort of, I guess, like rubber insole or padding or anything, you're going to lose your stability. So the reason that I have, again, flat shoes on, skateboard shoes, is because it basically simulates the floor inside of your shoe. And if you don't have any skateboard shoes or anything like that, all you have to do really is just take your shoes off. Now, if you're in a powerlifting meet, they're not going to want you to do that. So please be advised, don't do that if you're going to do a powerlifting meet. Or at least buy some shoes beforehand. Okay, so this is kind of an embarrassing video from a long time ago. I took this video in, I think, 2014, maybe early 2015. But basically, this is me pulling 405 with horrible form. And this is pretty much how to do it wrong. Okay, so notice my back is excessively rounded. I'm pulling really high off of my hips. My stance is a little too narrow. Let's see what else is going on in this video. Oh yeah, I'm bouncing the weight off the floor. You should be starting every rep of the deadlift from a dead stop, and that's why they call it the deadlift, because it's a dead weight and you're just lifting it off the floor. Especially if you have like kind of like a rubber floor, or a bouncy sort of, rubber floor, right? Like they do in my gym. You're going to be cheating yourself out of workload. And this is not really 405 for 3 if you really think about it, because although the mass is the same, because of the momentum that is used off of the floor, the weight, all right, the resistance is actually lighter than 405 pounds. And this is actually a really terrible bar that I'm using, but yeah, but I'm still, I'm wearing a belt. By the way, belts, again, you can use them. You don't have to. I never use belts anymore. The reason is because it's sport-specific training. If you use a belt, you are probably actually going to have more core development, but when push comes to shove, and you need to use your body for athletic purposes, your body's not going to react as powerful as it could, because it's going to be used to having a belt on. So let's say you're playing hockey and you're about to do a slap shot. If you're using a belt all the time in the gym, your body's going to think that it's still there when it is not. And that's just the general gist of it. But there is actually data out there suggesting that if you wear a belt while you are training, you will stimulate more muscle growth, because of the fact that your body's actually, your abdominals are pushing out against an object. And that's the reasoning behind it. And with time, you will go from having a 1-plate deadlift to a 2-plate to a 3-plate to a 4-plate to 455, as I have done here. This is my current 1-rep max with, albeit, I'll admit, terrible form. But I got it, and that's what matters. And it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as my previous 405 for 3 video. But you will get stronger, and likely you will surpass my standard of strength currently. So I hope this video has helped you guys out with your deadlift form, and I seriously urge everybody who has not put this in their routine to put it in. It will put size and strength on you like nothing else will be able to. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, and as always, hit that subscribe button and join the Soy Boy Patrol. I'm out. Peace.